This one is from Casual Geographic. And it's called Top 10 Animals with Black Air Force Energy. Their hands, paws, nubs are rated E for everyone. All right? Do not mess with them or you will find out. Guaranteed. Oh! Oh no!
Black Air Force Energy. Good old Urban Dictionary defines it as a person or an object that has insane potential and is crazy enough to deal with anything without fear or hesitation, regardless of moral alignment, including its own rivals or competitors. And despite clearly taking grammar lessons from NBA YoungBoy, I'd say whoever wrote that was pretty on point. It's a term I use a lot in my videos without really explaining exactly what it is. So here's a full list of the top 10 animals with the most Black Air Force energy. Some animals are an obvious pick, others might just surprise you. But they've all earned their spot, including the animal at number 10, which might have the least clout of any animal on this list, but that's only because it's found one place in the world.
Oh my god, it is only 46 seconds in, and we just saw a rhino yeet its child, like, into the air with this, like, no regard. And then an octopus just freaking punched someone. He just punched the fish!
Because if this bird were airdropped across the globe, it'd definitely be more known for all the wrong reasons.
Number 10.
Starting off is what happens when an animal is too smart for everyone else's quality of life. The Kia is a large parrot that can be found terrorizing the people of New Zealand.
Man, look at that sharp beak. Holy. This is like a knife, man.
Let it fool you. This Black Air Force with a Grinch colorway is an op in every way. They're highly intelligent and armed with a hook-shaped beak.
Yeah, that beak, man.
Which is the perfect tool for Kias to inflate insurance by picking apart cars.
Oh my gosh. Man. His equipment is dangerous.
You see, the Kia is smart enough to associate people and the cars we drive with food. Which is why this anti-mechanic is famous for committing the cutest carjackings you'll ever see. Of course, they don't just stop at cars. This feather felon will go through purses, backpacks, duffel bags, and swipe anything they can fly away with.
They're just like ripping pieces off of cars.
Even a case where this airborne pirate stole the passport of a Scottish man that didn't want to be identified.
Oh my god, he stole a password. Man, we need to somehow get these on our side of the table, okay? They would be a great asset. We just gotta feed them.
Because no one wants to be remembered for getting denied from your home country because you got your passport pickpocketed by a panhandling parrot. It happened to him and it can happen to you, but guess what? If you happen to get your wallet snatched and try to see the Kia about it, be prepared to also eat a several $1,000 fine and even jail time. Kias are protected by the government because it only makes sense that something with wings would be above the law. And it's almost like every Kia knows it and acts accordingly. But it's not just
god! He has a license to be an chat from the government! He has a license for that! Oh no.
Humans getting griefed. Kias will regularly raid other birds' nests and make omelets with their unborn children. And they'll use that Swiss Army knife of a nose to remove parts of a living sheep to eat. And there have been reports of them victimizing dogs and even horses.
Oh my god!
At least the Kia isn't a legitimate physical threat to people. The next animal's responsible for putting more zookeepers on workers' comp than any other animal.
Oh my gosh! They were kind of cute though, guys, weren't they? Like complete and utter abominations, but it was a cute bird. It was a cute bird. A very mega cute head.
Wilderness has some of the most ways to F around and find out per square mile in the world. So it makes sense that living in the most dangerous area codes in the world has turned the zebra into an actual psychopath. This oppressed Oreo horse has the strongest kick in the animal kingdom.
Oh man, I didn't know they had the strongest kick. Holy crap.
Strong enough for Marty to have written Alex out of the sequel. Which is why, even though lions body them often, every once in a while a lion has to explain to his ancestors how he got flatlined by a high-strung equality donkey.
Wow.
But the generational anxiety of being constantly hunted means the zebra will often one-shot something for existing.
They're donkeys? It makes sense, because they're not that big, right? They might be bigger than donkeys, but...
too close to it. There's two reasons why you won't see a person riding a zebra. One, they're too small. And two, every zebra is fundamentally a bastard to its core.
Wow, I didn't realize zebras were like so mean. I mean, they're a wild animal, so like obviously, but like I didn't realize it was that bad.
Because many mother zebras will actually mate with as many males as possible, because if she's showing and he suspects it's not hers, he'll violently press her until it's terminated.
Oh my gosh.
If the baby's already out, that's just an invitation for him to demote her from mother to mourning. And going back to humans, zebras are infamous for allegedly putting as many zoo staff in the ER as any any other animal. They may look like horses whose favorite part of a birthday is the finger painting station, but this panda pony's liable to paint the block with their insides if you breathe at them the wrong way.
Really?
Like a barnyard animal and negotiate your left hand. And because zebras are genetically closer to donkeys than horses, calling it the ass of Africa is a scientifically accurate title. And as the default protein of many of the landlords of the savannah, it's a title they hold with pride, because it's the best one they can
Holy
get.
crap. This man's messing around with the gators even. Woo!
10% off is also what you can expect if you treat this barcode horse as a petting zoo. But at least they have the excuse of constantly being plotted on. The next animal has less.
I can't. Yeah, there's a reason horses are domesticated, but zebras aren't. I always kind of wondered that. I guess I just assumed that it's kind of like a lot of wild animals, right? Like we domesticate guinea pigs, but there's plenty of other rodents in the wild that we just don't. I didn't assume it was because they were actually like, actually villainous energy.
Excuses, but more disrespect.
Number 8.
Deer manage to cause billions of dollars in damage a year by playing freeze tag with cars, and that ironically makes them the most dangerous animal in America. But where blissful ignorance makes deer a threat, the deer of Down Under initiate conflict. 9 out of 10 car accidents in Australia involve kangaroos. And
oh my gosh, that's crazy. You know, this is their deer. That's how I see it. Do they have beware of kangaroo crossing signs? Like, this is so cursed.
A number of them are premeditated. And
oh my gosh, he just turned around. That is so scary. He was running away, and then he turns around to fight the car.
Involve kangaroos, and a good number of them are premeditated.
I can't.
And not by the driver. Kangaroos assault vehicles with enough regularity to commit insurance fraud.
Oh! 90%! Oh! He literally bounced into it! Just boing! Just Mario Kart right into the car! Just boing!
In fact, kangaroos will regularly beef with inanimate objects.
Yeah, I've seen this.
These are some brolic marsupials.
Yeah, they're terrifying.
Claws, but more importantly, a sharp dagger of a toenail. Which is why it's not a kangaroo's punch.
Do they only have one toenail that's sharp? What the heck? I don't think I've ever looked at a kangaroo's feet.
Have to worry about, but that Jurassic pedicure disemboweled. It's what makes their sparring sessions so lethal. That and the fact that kangaroos start every day with the specific goal of inconveniencing as many life forms as
oh my god, that's so scary.
Possible. If you happen to fly a drone in kangaroo country, prepare to have your insurance tested. In fact, it's not a stretch to say they hate anything that flies. Can you imagine how ridiculous this could have gotten? Imagine people thinking you died paragliding when really you survived but got mobbed by a pack.
They hate things that fly? What the heck?
On kangaroos are number 8 because there's really no good reason for this. You see, as dangerous as Australia is, there aren't really any dominant apex land predators. While kangaroos often contend with dingoes and the occasional wedge-tailed eagle, a full-grown kangaroo doesn't have much that can threaten it, other than a bigger kangaroo.
Yep.
So my working theory is, they got cocky. And until nature airdrops some bears or maybe some type of big cat, kangaroos are still gonna be out here thinking they can do whatever.
Oh no!
Try to change their mind at your own risk. As on-site as these malicious macropods are, they're not even the most disrespectful animal in Australia. And believe me, we'll get to that.
Yeah, like man, it's like they don't have anything to put them in their place, so they just get to mess around and never find out. Number 7.
The Big 5 refers to the top 5 most dangerous animals to hunt in Africa. These include the elephant, the rhinoceros, the lion, the leopard, and an animal so feared it's been nicknamed Black Death. The African Cape buffalo is a walking attempt at
Really? The buffalo is more scary than those? Hims is kind of cute. I might be biased.
Case armed with a pair of horns to make most attempts successful. They have one of the highest KD ratios against humans with guns. In some places, these tanks with road rage and 50% of the people they go after, and a lot of that is because they will actively
50%.
Seek revenge.
A 50% survival range if you come in contact with this right off the bat. That's pretty bad.
There have been stories of one buffalo murking the same hunter that took out a member of its own herd. And
ooh, so they have maybe facial recognition? Ooh.
Whether you're a lion or a hunter, these trench cows get it back in blood. And the scariest version of a Cape buffalo is one that's already been injured. Hunters have followed a mortally wounded buffalo into thick brush, only for the freight train with legs to circle back and ambush them from behind. Which is why
I mean, I feel like they started it, you know? I don't know if I feel bad for them, you know?
Number 1
yeah, they had it coming.
Buffalo, assume you only have one shot because that's usually all you get. But it's not just humans getting bodied. Bloodlusting buffalo will seek out unsupervised lion cubs and log them out of life before they can grow up to be a threat.
Oh my god!
Like the adults aren't at risk either. Capes will stalk and circle lone lions, using the threat of gang violence to give Mufasa.
Bro, they freaking circle them like sharks. Oh my god. They really pull up.
Which is how the same apex predator that can solo multiple hyenas can get sent up a tree like a house cat.
Oh my gosh.
They're like the Liam Neeson of animals. Wrong them and they make their life's mission to co-sign your obituary.
Man, he got.
That first hit was self-defense. Everything after that was a personal choice. And even though experienced lions can take them down, it's still very much a gamble. Especially since they can travel in herds of hundreds. That's also how they earned the nickname Widowmaker. Because right now there's at least one woman on Tinder because her husband decided to hunt a 1-ton vibe check while the buffalo decided that would be the day he'd finally live up to his nickname.
Oh.
It's a murderous mammal, but like the zebra, it's often just self-defense gone way too far. Not like the antics of the next animal.
Yeah, I was gonna say, this buffalo's cute. I like the buffaloes. I like their big floppy ears. But like a lot of these, it's like they shouldn't have, gone out of their way to try to, they were trying to murk him first, all right? Yeah, it's like self-defense most of the time, so.
If you're talking about the black Air Force of the sky, you're probably talking about crows. Or really just corvids in general.
Corvids are smart, man.
Manipulate their environment to their advantage. But they're also devious enough to manipulate other animals for their own sadistic pleasure. I don't know what that crow said to that cat.
Oh yeah, we saw that. We saw that in the last video. They just decided to mess with the cat because they were bored. They do this when they're bored, apparently.
Involves someone's mother. Ravens will weaponize their relationship with wolves to call out hits on competing coyotes. Crows in Tokyo have especially become a problem where they've basically gone to war against the entire human population.
Really? What the heck? Are they territorial? I feel like a lot of birds are.
But it's not just humans getting bullied. There might not be a worse time to be an owl than in broad daylight surrounded.
Oh, leave him alone! Leave the hootie boy be! They have weird depth perception, don't they? Cause like whenever I see these, like whenever I've seen these at a zoo, they always are like this. He always be rotating. And then I asked somebody, I was like, why does he do that? And they were like, oh, it's like for depth perception, right? I mean, I'm not saying they can't come out during the day, but is he not at a disadvantage during the day? I feel like I've never seen an owl hunt during the day. I feel like this man's is getting bullied, all right?
By a murder of crows. Not to mention crows will often raid the nests of other birds for a disturbingly literal kids meal. And that's when they're not just straight up snatching minors in front of their parents. I think EDP just found a spirit animal. They'll regularly mob and harass other birds until they drop the food they've already caught. And crows won't hesitate to beat on much larger birds of prey, which might explain why they do the exact same thing with humans to get them to surrender whatever calories they have on them. But the avian onslaught peaks out with the Australian magpie. Now turns out
magpies are so cute.
Not actually corvids. They actually sit closer to another bird with psychopath tendencies. Either way, Australian magpies manage to be the most feared thing in a country seasoned with crocs, cassowaries, and snakes. And while most wildlife is harmless as long as you respect their space, the earth is their space, and they have no patience for trespassers. To the point
magpies are monsters. They look like little burb Oreo cookies.
Where many Australians have taken to wearing helmets to protect themselves from the magpie's malicious intent. Especially during swooping season, where magpies will relentlessly
season? Oh no!
Attack anything that gets near their nest. Actual human lives have been lost to this goth twee's
tantrums. Way!
And since corvids can remember faces, once you've been swooped, you can expect the same treatment next year. I think Tirzu said it best, corvids are what would happen if you gave monkeys wings. But at least in the magpie's case, they're only a legitimate threat to a human way of life for the roughly 6 weeks of swooping season. Next animal.
6 weeks? Only? That's so long to get dive bombed by a bird. That's so long. That's a long season of PvP to have to go through.
The biggest dangers to humans all year round.
Number 5.
It was really only a matter of time before the river rhino made an appearance. Widely considered the world's
hippos are scary. At least this one's predictable, okay?
Mammal, you may have noticed that hippos weren't included in the Big Five, and I have to assume that's because nobody that has a desire to see the next day would actually hunt them. Arguably, no animal has a harder working PR team than the hippopotamus. First of all, it's not the goofy lardonky it lets you think it is. A thin subcutaneous fat layer means hippos are actually walking units.
Yeah, I did not realize hippos are not round. Like they are chonky because it's a ton of muscle.
Despite their awkward appearance, hippos can outpace any human.
Like they can run so freaking fast.
Over short distances. And that
it's insane.
And in water.
It's the fastest tank I've ever seen.
They somehow become even more
terrible. Yeah, they sink underwater. Okay, fat things float. Hippos sink. Let that sink in. This man's is made of muscle.
Hippos have been known to lower the census totals of other animals for seemingly no reason. Just when an antelope thinks it's been bailed out, the slaughter horse does origami with
Oh
its
my
spine.
God!
Even though
Did you see that? That was like a dog. You like grabbed him and started wringing him around. Oh my.
they're supposed to be herbivores, every once
Whoa. Did you have to show me his cute little ears right after that atrocity? It was so cute. His little wibbly ears, little wibbly murderous unit.
in a while they'll give into the temptation of tasting the flesh of their victims. Cannibalism is
Look at
not
his
off
little
the table.
ears.
Science doesn't really know why exactly they do this, but science doesn't account for an animal just being a dick. Few predators
Yep.
will press this obese water pig, and those that do so at their own risk. Hippos are so carnage happy that the biggest threat to a baby hippo is a bigger, meaner bull hippo. It's how a hippo baby shower can legitimately end
That's
in a rain of fresh
crazy.
confetti. Now, to be fair, plenty of animals resort to infanticide. Hippos are just really mean about it. Like I said, nobody's PR team works harder, except maybe dolphins, which makes sense since despite resembling ungulates like warthogs and rhinos, the hippo's closest living relatives are actually cetaceans like dolphins and whales. But instead of making it out in the ocean, hippos decided to make a living griefing everything in its area code. And I didn't even mention the way they claim that area code.
Oh boy. Ew, no. Stop.
You know, if you unsubscribed right now, I wouldn't blame you. The only thing that can make this whale Karen more of a menace than it already is if it were a straight up predator, or if it hunted in packs. Then again, that would literally make it an animal further down this list.
Oh my lord. The poop fan,
My personal
no.
bias was not going to keep the elephant off this list. As much as I love them, elephants can be a
Oh,
devastating
she's gonna smack her. I've seen this video too.
combination of
She wants her phone. Watch.
enough to do anything and big enough to get away from.
Bam.
Asian elephants
It wasn't
especially get
funny.
themselves into trouble by raiding villages
But it was a
and
little
emptying
funny.
out their rice supply.
But it was a
which
little
is why
funny.
Asian elephants are responsible for the bulk of human hashtags.
He got
especially
trunked.
since they
She
can
got
be just
trunked.
as vengeful as the Cape buffalo. Earlier this year, a man in Thailand had an elephant working hauling wood in the brutal heat, which is illegal. And
Yeah, what
apparently
the heck? Like, yeah, that's abuse. Don't do that.
The elephant knew his rights because he proceeded to rip his boss in half. And of
Honestly, elephant W.
course, we gotta address the I'm better than that. One elephant traveled over 100
I'm
miles
not. We gotta go to dress the elephant in the room.
to murk a 70-year-old woman collecting water, only to pull up to her funeral to attack the sole evicted body, this time in front of her family.
Yeah.
The biggest mystery of mankind is what motivated a 4-ton pachyderm to pack up an elderly woman twice.
Yeah, it's crazy. Some of these stories about elephants are nutty.
Got a reason? It's not like he's gonna tell us. Elephants rank over hippos because where hippos commit war crimes in the heat of passion, when an elephant catches a body, you can almost be certain it was premeditated. And it's in populations that have been fragmented by
I think elephants are considered a lot more intelligent, right? I think that's part of it. I swear, the more evil something gets, the higher their intelligence is a lot of times. Hence the crows and hence the elephants. The dumb animals are always the sweetest.
poaching where young male elephants really fly.
Maybe not always, but a lot of the time.
Handle. And bull elephants are already pretty high-strung as it is.
Jesus.
But they managed to get worse in communities decimated by poaching, to the point where 3 elephants in South Africa were responsible for deleting 63 rhinos as well as charging at people. Now, to be fair, poaching typically targets older bulls, and research shows that without old heads around, younger male elephants go into must a lot sooner than they should.
Oh,
Which I
that's
get.
not good.
What I don't get is why that has to involve turning a rhino from a tight end to a wideout.
Oh no! Oh!
Have to remember is that elephants are intelligent enough to experience every human emotion like
You know what? I'm glad they can't reproduce. Could you imagine? Could you imagine an elephant brain with rhino build, like as muscular? A rhinophant would be horrifying. That would be a very OP hybrid.
empathy, and but for every headline like this, you might get a headline like this. And if elephants wore shoes, they'd rock the biggest black Air Forces the world's ever seen. But that's only because the next animal on this list doesn't have legs.
Number 3.
One of the biggest injustices of cinema is that where dolphins
Oh my gosh. Dolphins, like they are talked about how smart they are.
cast as a lovable flipper, sharks got typecast
Spin.
as Jaws. Dolphins are the most disrespectful beings in the ocean. Makes sense because they're basically intelligent hydrodynamic hippos.
See, that's what I'm saying. The smarter they are, the more they actually possess, the amount of brain cells it would take to be a villain.
They regularly bully sharks, use fish heads and live eels as marital aids, commit unprovoked acts of porpoiside, all while letting humanity think they're the good guys. They have mating practices so brutal that I probably can't even talk about them. Just know that what dolphins like to do to each other, guidelines might try to do to me. But we can't talk about dolphins without talking about the biggest dolphin of all. The orca is the most dominant apex predator on the planet that
yeah, orcas are horrifying.
And as if sheer size and intelligence wasn't enough, they typically hunt in pods with the coordination of a wolf pack, which is how this oppressive sea oriole regularly griefs the tankiest animals on the planet. They're such a force that great whites have been known to abandon hunting grounds.
Oh my gosh, the great whites are like, yeah, I'm good. That one, I'm not willing to mess with that one, all right? We all have our limits.
A year
I'm
once
good.
the steroid quality guppy makes an appearance. Probably because they've been known to use the shark's biology against them to rob them of their heart and liver, just to leave the rest of the shark to sink to the abyss.
Holy crap.
And then there's the fact that orcas often practice their craft on other animals. Which is why if you ever feel bad about penguins getting bullied by seals, I suggest you see what happens when a Navy SEAL joins the Air Force.
Oh my god, I think he just ascended to heaven!
I suggest you see what happens when a
Bro, he sent him right to heaven.
Navy SEAL joins the Air Force.
Wow.
And while you could chalk this up to hunting strategy, there's also the chance that living life on Roku difficulty means orcas get bored and just start trying stuff. And while it's true a wild orca has never taken out a human, that hasn't stopped them from actively messing with human vessels with disturbing regularity.
Wow.
It's like they know who's ruining the ocean and adjust their behavior accordingly. Either way, orcas are the humans of all things. Moral of the story, Free Willy should have been put on parole. The only thing more black Air Force than an animal that griefs everything around it would be an animal that commits atrocities against its own kind. And that's why orcas are only number 3.
Ooh. Number 2. What's worse than an orca?
Ask any zookeeper what animal they fear the most. If they don't say chimps, they've never worked with one.
Yeah.
A common misconception is that chimps are 5 times stronger than the average man. And while the number is actually closer to 1.5, chimps have more fast twitch muscles, a stronger bite force, and a stronger grip force. Their ability to use tools is fascinating to watch.
It freaks me out that people will just like own monkeys as pets. Like it freaks me out just to watch them.
Until you realize that means they're able to create and use weapons. People often forget that chimpanzees are pack hunting predators able to execute attacks with the precision of early man, and that doesn't just apply to their prey. Chimps in Luongo National Park have been documenting attacking families of gorillas and murking any helpless offspring they can get their hands on.
Holy crap.
Literally no animal safe from the violent tendencies of a furious George. But it's the damage they inflict
Furious George! That was a good one.
It's their own kind that puts them over the top. Chimp casualties often share the same injuries: a disfigured face, missing fingers if not entire hands, and a non-consensual neutering. Chimps seem to have an understanding of what's important to an animal, and they go out of their way to remove it. It's why I can show you this picture and you'll understand.
Oh no, yep, that's what I was thinking of right away.
That's why instead of organ donor, I have, if ever maimed by a chimp, just let me die on my driver's license. And it's also why you probably have a better chance of surviving being locked in a room with a lion than in a room with a furry chainsaw.
Oh my gosh.
The fact that a chimp can get put 6 feet under by members of its own troop guarantees them a spot on this
Yeah, the fact that they hurt each other as well as everything else. They will rip anything apart, even their own kind.
The only way an animal could beat that is if something was enough of a menace to be a legitimate threat to itself. And that's exactly what number 1 is. But before we reveal number 1, here's some honorable mentions. The Canadian goose.
Oh man, this is Satan. Gooses are straight from Satan. You know, they waddled their way out of hell. I'm convinced.
For having the most irrational confidence of any animal. They actually almost went extinct, and now they revolve their entire existence around punishing humanity.
They did? That must have changed. Gooses are everywhere.
For it. Swans. Because what geese think they are, swans...
Yeah, this is just a more majestic, prettier version with the same DNA intact. Like, don't let it fool you. This one just has, like, a fancy teacup he sips beforehand as he waddles out of hell at the same time as the gooses, all right?
Always have been. Wolverines. Because they're more than capable of hunting for themselves, but they'd rather tax animals 3 times. I
love wolverines. They're so cute. They also, when they make sounds, even when they're happy, they're like guttural screams. They're like, wah! It's so great. They also make sounds like they came straight from hell.
Exercise for a living. Meerkats. For being quite literally the most homicidal mammals on the planet.
Really? I didn't realize meerkats were like murdering each other.
And now at number 1, to absolutely no one's surprise.
Really? Okay, I didn't know that. That one I didn't know.
Honey badger. The most
he's so cute.
Unapologetically disrespectful creature on Earth. I have an entire video dedicated to the exploits of this.
I watched this one.
But here are some highlights. They'll regularly pinch food from leopards and then throw a tantrum if they get caught. They'll take on packs of animals that realistically should be able to one-shot them. But the Oreo weasel has plot armor in the form of crackhead courage. They'll raid the hives of African bees, the same bees that are 10 times meaner.
Oh my gosh. He's got the whole beehive. That's insane.
Sting 10 times more than their European cousins. And honey badgers aren't immune to bee stings. They're resistant, but enough stings will flatline a honey badger.
That's insane.
Ask the honey badger if he cares. He won't answer, but
He does not.
Answer. These prison ferrets also run fades with highly venomous cobras. If they manage to get bitten, they'll just slip into a cobra
He's so cute and do a nap.
coma and then wake up hours later and walk it off like a Sunday morning hangover. Even the honey badger's idea of self-defense is as offensive as you can get, as in they'll reverse their anal
So chunky.
pouches inside out and release a smell so pungent it can allegedly paralyze
Yeah, they do have that skunk ability, right?
attacking bees. And honestly, any animal that religiously attacks the baby makers of others is a different tier of menace. No other badger represented this better than Stoffel, who
But look at how boopable his snootable is.
once escaped from his enclosure and picked a fight with a neighboring family of lions.
Look at their little tails. They really do kind of act like skunks.
Nearly mauled him to death.
But they're more like wide. I like their bigger, their bigger stance. They're just like more chonky.
About 2 months in the hospital, the first thing the affiliated ferret did fresh out was go right back at the same lines to settle the score. And that was only one of the hundreds of times
Oh
Stoffel
my gosh, chat, he's gonna use the weapon.
managed to raise the blood pressure of the people around him. But here's the real kicker.
He's picking up the rake and he's gonna cause even more chaos.
Stoffel was actually hand-raised by humans at a young age and therefore imprinted on them. He had no intention of ever leaving. The whole thing was just a game to him. Because if blatant disrespect were a sport, they still wouldn't play it because anything involving rules goes against a honey badger's belief system. But that's gonna do it for this video. For more consistent content, be sure to follow my Instagram and TikTok.
He's so cute. Why is the worst one the cutest? I told you guys, if you're cute, you get away with anything. This is the example. Look at this guy.
I try to post daily on both. And to further support this channel, my Patreon's also gonna be in the description. But also, don't feel like you have to give
Look at him dance. Look at him.
If you watched the video this far, you've already done more than
Look at him. He's so cute. He's the cutest criminal.
But other than that, drink water, hug your mother, don't hug a honey
Look
badger.
at him
It'll never
dance.
end well. And I'll see you
Look
in
at
the
that pretty privilege. Look at him go.
next one.
The cutest criminal. That was great.